Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. I'm sure you listened to my monologue a short while ago, uh, painting a picture of what hangs over Cameroon as described by even the foreign government, the Canadians. We've just been talking to Eric there. I'm sure you heard him. And he is talking about the plans that Issa Chiroma has ahead. Do you see anything coming out of those plans? I am afraid we are descending to the era of John Frundi and Maurice Kamto, where they tend to promise the future is brighter. We are going to fight, but given time, everything dwindles to infinity. Do you see anything happening here?
Yes, I think Mr. Chiruma has learned from the experience of Frundi and Kamto. And that is why he is much more sharper now. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he needs to do and how to go about it, much to the chagrin of the regime in Yaoundé. Um, I was really very intrigued when Eric described him as having turned away from just a politician now to a revolutionary leader. Of course, let us recall that a revolutionary leader or person is one who inspires or leads a great and radical change in a government or in society. That's what people like Mandela and the rest did. And the key traits of a revolutionary leader are often associated with strong leadership qualities, a deep understanding of social systems, charisma, which I think increasingly Chiruma is having, and a commitment to their ideals, even in the face of extreme risk, as Eric has really explained. So this is a man, and I think I am very, very fascinated that this man has transitioned from that cage, that situation where the Yaoundé bandit regime wanted to cage him. Um, in other words, oh, you're just a politician, opposition politician. No, he's now a revolutionary leader. Secondly, the document from the Canadian does not surprise me. I think the Canadians have had first-hand experience with dealing with a rogue regime like the Yaoundé regime. And for people who do not know, Yaoundé Bia has for a long time imagined that the entire world is at his feet. He can do what he wants to do. He's not accountable to anyone internally or externally. So with that kind of arrogance, stupid arrogance, which he displayed even in his speech by saying he thanked the foreign government for having jailed, arrested people and jailed, as if foreign governments are an agency of French Cameroon. So the Canadians, I'm really not very surprised that they come out pretty very strongly. And knowing how Western governments operate, that might well express the view taken in those Western capitals. And to me, it signals that Cameroon is in a very bad shape, that's French Cameroon, very bad shape, and that things do not augur well for them. And they will see in the days coming, they would begin to tighten the noose, especially with possible prosecutions at the International Criminal Court of the most criminally responsible members of that regime, whom we know, people like Ngongo, Atanganji, Bia himself, his wife, whom people call Marie Antoinette for her extravagance and lavish lifestyle at the expense of the people of Cameroon. So yes, things are going to move fast and they move fast, and I'm hopeful that that country will turn around. And that turnaround, since they are our neighbors, we cannot ignore the happenings in that country. That turnaround would mean for us also that we will be placed in a situation where we can do business with them.
Prof, what do you make of the fact that after the ultimatum of this morning, Ferdinand Gongo, Paul Atangenji, they are rushing to the prisons and releasing some inconsequential detainees? What do you make of that?
When I got that information, I was really, really heartily amused. Because here are people who claim to be in charge, sitting in Yaoundé. They will know what they do best, which is stealing money and terrorizing people. And by the way, I was very pleased that Churuma used the apt adjective that described that regime. This is something we've been saying for a long time. That Cameroon is not only a bandit state, but it's a terrorist state. We've been saying this for a long time. And people do not seem to appear to, but now everybody realizing that it's a terrorist state. So to see that for once, Chiruma sneezes and the whole of Yaoundé regime catches a cold, rushing to the jails to release people. I suppose their advisors must have told them, their foreign advisors, and those we know. People always think of France. But there's another one which is a supplier of instruments of war to French Cameroon. They must have advised them, so look, you better get your act together. When a man stands up and gives you 48 hours ultimatum, he means business, he knows what he's talking about, and what might come next, you will not see it coming. So, to me, it indicates that Chiruma is calling the shots. And those guys are quacking. They are shaking. And the fact that they should have even resorted to the extent of monitoring people's movements and speeches and ministers, their so-called ministers, and those of the military who appear to owe allegiance to them, they are still under. What that tells me is that everyone at that level is a prisoner under watch. And that, believe me, is not good news for all of those peoples. And it tells me that their days are numbered. And for the clever ones, they are beginning to work out the exit strategies, including those who have already sent their families and relatives abroad. The good news is that for the money they've stolen and stashed outside, there's no way they can hide them in this day and age. The international system knows where they've hidden that money. And when the moment comes, there will be asset forfeitures. And that money will be seized in addition to what criminal action will be brought against each of them.
But Prof, and I would like Eric, if Eric wants to weigh in here, that is okay. Don't you think that it is possible that by rushing to the prison yards today to free some detainees, the regime may just be just being smart to send a symbolic message to Issa Chiruma: we can work with you, we can talk, we can negotiate. Let's sit down and have a dialogue. Don't you think this is what they are doing? In other words, a way of pacification, buying time to move on. Yes, Prof.
No. Let me just Eric, just a minute. There can be no question of pacification. Let's all remember that the regime in Yaoundé is a usurper regime. It's a usurper regime, and in law we know what a usurper regime is. It is an illegitimate regime. It does not command the respect of the people, and there is no obligation in law for people to respect their commands and orders. So all the things they are doing there, they are in no position to actually say they can negotiate. Why would they be negotiating with Chiruma? What would they be negotiating? The only best negotiation for them is to give up and tell Biya to get out of town. That would be the best.
Now, don't forget, they've already offered Chiruma the post of vice president or prime minister. They may be saying, you know.
Who gives can always take back, isn't it? You know that.
Well, that is true.
They're offering him, they give it to him, then tomorrow they can take it back from him. The
Yeah.
vice president is not what it's so inconsequential.
Eric, what do you think about this? Is it pacification, or they do this out of the fear of what? Out of the fear of the unknown that Issa Chiroma may unleash on them? Oh, I think.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go on.
Chris, can you hear?
I can hear you
Yes, yes,
now.
okay. No, as I was saying, I think Prof is, just made a mockery of the whole thing, and that's exactly where it belongs, Mr. Chiroma is not in a mood for, it should not even be in the minds of anybody that Chiroma, after all he's gone through, would be settling for some kind of negotiation. That will not happen. Chiroma understands fully the implications of being a change agent for that country. He feels, he regrets his having participated in the government of that country in the hope that from the inside he could change a few things. He obviously did what he could in the ministries that he was responsible for, but beyond that, he realized after when he came to recognize the fact that Mr. Biya had become vegetable, totally unable to run the country, totally absent, when he recognized that and realized who indeed was running the country or attempting to run the country, Mr. Chiroma felt it was time to leave. And given the magnitude of the problems Cameroon had, he felt he should attempt to become, he should run for president. And he had no, I don't think he went into this with any illusions, but he hoped that, he would win like every candidate. And indeed he won. So, and he won based also on an agenda that he had actually spelled out. And that agenda, I've referred to some of the elements of that agenda. Bringing peace to Cameroon as his primary objective. And that goes through the release of political prisoners, dialogue on the form of the state, who, the rights of citizens. It's all of that. And then the national reconciliation that must take place. And then the rebuilding of the economy. And of course, an audit of the state where a lot will be dug out. The filthily wealthy people in Cameroon, the richest people in Cameroon, are the civil servants around Mr. Biya. That has to be brought out. And I'm glad Prof mentioned, the wealth that's been stacked out of the country, which we're now going after. That information will become available to Cameroonians. And we know exactly how, all of these fellows made money. They sold the wealth of the land, mining contracts were given in exchange for a few pockets full of dollars that was held in accounts,
But
or for a few palaces.
Eric, don't you think that Cameroonians will say that Issa too was part of the system?
But I just said that. I mean, Chiroma, when he decided to run, he was threatened. They sent someone to threaten him. And he told this guy, okay, if you have information about money I have taken, if you have information about $1 that I've taken illegally, bring it out. But I'm going to run for president. So they know that he was one of the clean hands in government during the, 11 years he was in government or more.
Yeah.
We're going after these fellows. They know, and I want them to know we're going after them for the wealth they have outside the country. We have lawyers working with the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, to pursue some of them. Mr. Biya may be too old to be dragged into court, but we hope he'll be sent into his retirement home in Vomeka, so that he's no longer that dark shadow that hangs over the country. And the military, and I want to use this occasion again to appeal to the military, to think about this country for once, not for the extra change that Mr. Ngongo and the others give them. They should think about this country, about their families, about their children, about the need for fairness. How can it be so difficult? How can it be so difficult to be fair to the land, to use the Commonwealth to serve the interests of everybody? How difficult can that be? Why should they be asked to use bullets in the place of ballots to keep a government in power? Can't our military think about that? That this election was about what happened in the ballot box, and not what happened in the barrel of a gun. I really hope that every citizen listening to this would appeal to the military. Some of them are reaching out to Mr. Chiroma. That is good. Mr. Chiroma has said it over and over again. He does not want a drop of blood spilled, even for him to be president. No, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want a single Cameroonian life to die, to be given, to be lost because of these elections. But he knows what Cameroonians want. They want change, and he's determined to go to the ends of the earth to bring change to that country. All the team around him is working on that for that purpose, and it will happen, please.
Before I get to Onga Onana, let me ask you a quick question, Eric, before I get to him. Is a regime in Yaoundé discreetly reaching out to Issa Chiroma to say, let's talk, let's reach an agreement? Are they doing that?
Yes, I can tell you what I know. I was with Mr. Chiroma a few days ago when somebody I know who's in the high levels of the government of that country came to me and said they want to arrange a discussion between the president of that country, the head of state of France, Emmanuel Macron, and Chiroma. Told me this and said I should convince Chiroma to call, to agree to that meeting, and that they believe they'll make him an offer of vice president. That was said to me. It wasn't said to anybody else. So this is, I'm giving you first-hand information.
And this was a proposal coming from somebody representing the French, correct?
Well, it was coming from a senior official in that country where we were.
Okay.
And said, a senior top official, who has works with the president of that country, said they will, if I could convince Chiroma to agree to the meeting with the president of that country and Emmanuel Macron, they think he will be offered, not they think, we will offer him, he said, the position of vice president. And he told me, look, Eric, Mr. Biya will be gone soon. He said, I don't think he'll be there for 2 or 3 more years. So as vice president, Chiroma will very quickly, get to the presidency with no obstacles. And that Mr. Macron and this president, if they can agree to it, they will agree to it. So I know that that offer has been made. But of course, raised it with Mr. Chiroma, and it was a no-no. There was no thought of even engaging in such a process. And he's out of that country now.
We'll get back to that a little bit later. Let me get to Onga Onana joining me from Maryland. Onga, you listen to Eric there talk about the French reaching out by proxy to say, let's negotiate, let's talk, we will give you the post of vice president. And they are saying, Beer can no longer be there for another 2 or 3 years. So just take it, and after Beer is gone, you may just be the next president. Do you think if Issa Chiluma should fall into that temptation that the people will still back him?
No, not at all. No. Do you understand? Do you see me? Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I hear you 5 on 5. Go on.
Good, excellent. That is the point. This is not the way to do these things. They are in front of us, in front of Chiroma. There is no one that is even ready to do the right thing. We want peace, right? And these people do not want peace. If they did want peace, it is not the way they will be dealing with this matter. We have offered Mr. Biya before the election. We have offered a platform for him to retire. And it was sent, as I told you already, to the ambassador here, and to the Secretary General, and to the Prime Minister, and to several officials in Yaoundé also. I almost have received it. This was a real offer for a retirement package for the president. This is not showing that they are considering it at all. And by the way, I have to make sure that you know my name is Maximilien Onga Nana. I am from Banganti, from Bangula. I am here in the US because I choose to come here. I used to work with the Ministry of Urban Planning many years ago. And I'm now working with the World Bank. And I'm telling you, these people don't love Cameroon. There is no patriotism in them. They don't want peace. And that is something we have to work to get to. A peaceful Cameroon. We know the peaceful Cameroon that we want. The peaceful Cameroon that we used to have. We have to reset Cameroon again, the way it should be. So I don't know if you have heard about Gambia.
Yeah.
The guy in Gambia, the ruling Gambia today, was just like Jerome. Do you know that?
Right.
And was thrown
in Senegal.
In Senegal. But he is ruling Gambia today. So let's not forget, not lose hope. We continue to fight, and there will be we'll reach success in this country, in Cameroon. That has to be known from each Cameroonian that there is hope. There is hope there. And Mr. Chiroma should continue his fight to get it done correctly and have the Cameroonian people choose, as Eric said, the Cameroonian people have the right to say, no, we are not going by that. This is not the way to go. I want to stop here.
If this is not hypocrisy, Prof, tell me what it is.
No, you are definitely right. It's a level of hypocrisy in some of these things. And the West still follows the dictum of Lord Palmerston, the British Prime Minister, who declared publicly that it would be very foolish for anybody to think that they have permanent friends and permanent enemies. They don't have permanent friends, they don't have permanent enemies. What they do have is permanent interests. And that's what has been guiding all Western countries, where they see where they have their interests involved somehow, whether it's a military interest, an economic interest, or political interest, they will support that regime, irrespective of the color of that regime. This has been a constant as far as the African continent is concerned. The irony is, when they do these things, they only do it in the African continent. They will not dare do that thing in Asia, for example. And that's because African countries are generally weak. They can't stand up to some of these things. And the people tend to look up to the West and say, okay, the West is our salvation. They can't stamp their foot down and say, look, we need to chart our own path, irrespective of whatever view you might take. So that is what has been leading some of most of all actually of the Western world. You take the United States, you ask yourself, some of his decisions, some of his actions are so embarrassing. Openly supporting a dictator. No, a dictator is a soft word to describe an authoritarian regime. A 45-year-old person, as you said, who in America would describe as cognitive, is lost his cognitive ability physically and mentally, and we can see. And yet, the thing is fit to continue ruling a people. So when people raise their hands or their heads to say, no, we don't want this person, then hear about peace. Peace. Something the regime uses to try to, after it is committed theft or brigandage, or it has killed people, murdered people, assassinated people, now it now talks about peace. Oh, let's peace, talk about peace, or let's negotiate. I want a peaceful country, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, you're right. I think some of these things must be denounced. But beyond denunciation, what exactly do we do in a situation like this?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what do we do as a people? Take what is happening in neighboring French Cameroon. It's unbearable. And I bet you, if we knew fully that these people are like this, there's no way on earth, no way would have decided, okay, we're going to federate with these people. It wouldn't have happened. You know, there are many things about them we're just discovering. These are people who have never known what is called good faith. These are people who never renounce the use of violence. And these are people, you have leadership who are never, you can't point to any originating election. We brought them to power. Whether it's Ahijo or Bia, Bia came to power by radio announcement. And he's been there. He's never won any election. And it is fine. People think it is fine. That's the system we have. So we must now try to tell the people of neighboring countries, look, it is time for them, if they are serious, to fight what they believe in, to institute a democratic system, to institute the kind of regime they want to have in place. And I think, like Chiruma says, this is not Chiruma's fight. It's the fight of the people of that country. If they don't want it, well, they'll continue with that system, which means that Beer and his gang will continue to buy time until they finalize their Fang Republic project and then do whatever they want to do. So there is a challenge for them, for us. We already know our pathway which we're taking, and we're not going to go back on that pathway which we've already chosen. We need to reassert and reclaim what is ours, which was stolen by the people of that other side.
Let me go to Onga Nana. You are out there in Washington, D.C., and you know that the reason why Biden isn't still president of the U.S. today was because of his age. At 82, everybody deemed him not qualified, not capable of leading this country. Yet in Africa, precisely Cameroon, a 93-year-old is deemed fit by U.S. standards to be president of Cameroon. What do you make of that, sir?
Question. It is clear that we have to put certain things in the laws of the country. We have to put it clearly. I saw a draft for the electoral for the municipal council being circulated, which were being clear on the age, the brackets for qualifying for that position. Even if it is not true, it is already a good intention. We have to make sure that the laws of the land are written in a manner for which this type of things will not happen again. It has to be clear to everyone that to be able to rule the country, that country, you need to be in a certain bracket of age. That is clear. That is clear. It has to be in writing. So again, we have some work to be done there in the road. I saw today something circulating that there was a team was sent out by Ngongo to meet Ambazonians, both
Yeah, I was coming
in
to
the
that.
country and outside. And you remember I sent it to you
Yes.
to verify that is this true or not. Anyway, whatever is in the making has to be clear in our minds that the first thing to do is to clean up all the laws that are governing Cameroon, elections and institutions. So that is necessary. We have to build a country that is going to be renewing itself anytime at the sequence, at the clearly written time sequence. Thank you.
Yeah, about Ngongo. Ngongo sending people to come to the U.S., meet with Ambazonians. My response would be, it is not necessary. All they need to do, if they really are serious, is to call for a genuine sit down, a genuine negotiation, or they call it dialogue. Reach out to the Amazonian leaders in the diaspora and said, this time we mean something, we are serious, we want to talk, we want us to discuss. Not sending people to the diaspora. You come to me, I will say, go and meet Akwanga, or go and meet Ayaba, or go and meet, whoever, because what can I alone sit here and do? Nothing. And I think Prof. Anyangwe agree with me here, sir. What do you think? Prof.
So and the other is that the West doesn't think they deserve any excuse. I mean, they do what they think they want to do, and it's like saying, well, it's our interest that would follow. And what would you do? Nothing. We have the example of Britain for all the things Ambassador has been crying, and the British know very well the crimes they committed against Ambassador. Now we're talking of over a century, and yet they seem impervious to reason. It's like, what can you do? We've taken our stand, and we're not moving away from that stand. So it's exactly the same thing. What is not good for them, they think is good for us. The age thing which you mentioned, for example, the corruption thing, which in Britain, I mean, I was very intrigued in Britain. Take, for example, during the COVID period, the Prime Minister was taken to task and forced to resign just because he had a party through the COVID period. I mean, but if you had that kind of a thing in our own context, they would just say, wow, that is it. That's not something to take serious. Or, well, people just talk, negotiate, talk peace, whatever thing it is. So it is time we must pursue our own interests the way we think fit and proper with whomever we want to. We do not need to be hooked to the West for the things we need and how we need to conduct ourselves. At the same time, we do not necessarily have to get hooked to, say, the East, right? People are talking of the Chinese or the Russians or Vietnamese or whatever thing it is. We must chart our own pathway, depending upon subject matter. If we think doing business with A is good, we'll do business with A. But if we think doing diplomacy with B is good, do diplomacy with B. We are not going to put our eggs in one basket. And this is a challenge to Africa. Because if you look around the African continent, and worse, the Continental Organization, which is moribund, virtually dead, and serves no purpose, except that it is an agency now for what they give jobs to the boys and the girls, as it were. Put trotting around and say they're diplomats of the AU. But beyond that, there's really nothing the AU offers for Africa. But if you look at other intergovernmental organizations in other parts of the world, see how effective, how the things they do. Our own, again, the African thing. So once more, I think you are right to point your finger at what you have been talking about. We just have to get our act together and do the things which we think is best in our interest. Of course, the Americans are not going to come and tell you, oh yes, we are going to help you remove beer because beer is, 93, which many people say is government age because people think it's much more older, perhaps 97, that responsibility is our responsibility. Just like they rejected somebody who was 82, We should be able to reject somebody who is that old. In fact, we have let things go for so long. How come one person stays in power for 43 years? I mean, it's unthinkable. So it is our duty, it's our responsibility. When I say our, I mean Africans. Now it's the responsibility of the pool of our neighbors, the people of Cameroon, to do what is needful to rescue themselves from that situation. But it's going to be a tough task because if people who have been reading through the lines and who know the mentality, and we know it because we were told this way back in 92, that these people have a plan. It is a Fang Republic. They reiterated it even recently. So they're just buying time to put things together, to revert to it. And when that happens, and I can tell you, the North is what they call the Grand North, is ready also, who now, under the circumstances, will be forced to create a Logon Republic. Perhaps more I think about things, I think it would be a good thing even for the Republic of Cameroon to go the Yugoslavia way, frankly. And then everybody will feel comfortable. There is no way I think these groups can be together. The suspicion is so deep. The mutual killing has been so deep. The repression is so deep that I don't think there will be any peace. So maybe it's a good thing for people to go to the Yugoslavia, to leave the Yugoslavia moment in that country.
So, Prof, Ngongo, according to allegations, is sending emissaries to the U.S. to meet Ambazonian leaders to do what we don't know. My response was, why doesn't Ngongo or anybody in that regime, in that matter, has to send emissaries to the U.S. to come and meet Ambazonian leaders? Why not just do the right thing? And the right thing is call for a negotiation, or if they call it dialogue, I don't care. Why not just do that instead of sending emissaries? I mean, phone calls or emails will invite the Ambazonian leaders to say, hey, we really want to sit down and trash this conflict. Please, let's agree for a neutral location and meet. What is your take here, sir?
No, that is a non-starter. I don't think people like Ngongo have that humanity and ability to do that. It's like asking Bia to do that. Bia is bereft of human feeling. He hasn't got any. So Ngongo hasn't got any. Bia's wife has got nothing, that kind of feeling. Those are not people you can depend for to take this kind of action. No, no. And in any case, even if you want to do a thing like that, the first thing they would have done is to free the leadership that's in jail and talk to them. But as I said, they don't have that ability to do that. These people have lost anything about humanity. It's not part of them. It's not part of their system at all. It isn't. They still live in a world of their own, completely, a world of their own. They think they can continue to defy everybody at every time until their kingdom comes, you know. So no, that's a big joke. That's a big joke. I mean, I don't think it's even. It would even. I mean, no. There's no beginning. It can't even start. No. So I will dismiss that.
Let me get back to Eric. Eric, it seems to me like what the regime in Yaoundé is trying to do. That is assuming the allegations are true that he is sending emissaries to the diaspora to talk to Ambazonian leaders. It seems what they are trying to do, in my opinion, is kind of send a message to the international community that they are initiating dialogue. They now want to talk. They want to sit down with all the parties that need to be reached out to see we can finally bring back peace and stability in the country. And then by that way, they stabilize themselves in power. That is the way I look at it. I don't know how you look at that.
Yeah, first of all, Chris, I think it's insultive to the intelligence of the people of that country to even think about Ngongo sending out emissaries. Who is Ngongo? It's not the head of government. It's not
Well,
the elected.
I know he's the one in charge, right?
Well, but that's the point. That's the point I'm making. How can anybody in the world, anywhere, even consider the notion of receiving someone sent by a nobody who has demonstrated time and time again his total incompetence, who has no mandate to rule, is not the head of government. I would understand if I was told that Mr. John Gute, the Prime Minister of Cameroon, had sent out emissaries. Who's Ngongo? Who is Ngongo? Look, we should get serious. And I really hope that your better angels would prevail when such an emissary shows up in your door. Just kick him out. Don't even do them the honor of giving them coffee.
I won't welcome the angel. Rather, I would say, Mr. Ngongo, thank you for reaching out. If you are really, truly serious, first, release every Ambazonian in jail.
Simple.
Go to
Simple.
Douala, go to Kondenge, go to Bafoussam, release everybody first. That will be a demonstration of goodwill, and then reach out to us. We can then sit down. That would be my suggestion to them.
Within the first week of taking power in Cameroon, Mr. Chiroma will release all the political prisoners. Mr. Chiroma will set the stage for a final resolution of the crises in the country, of the crisis in the English-speaking parts of the country, crisis in the north and in the eastern province, within the first week. This can be done. Mr. Biya did not need to mobilize and send an army to go kill, destroy, and send people out of the country on exile, and then turn around and win votes. This is such it's such an incomprehensible outcome as far as I'm concerned, that I'm shocked that we're even giving it, we're dignifying it by talking about it tonight. I think Cameroonians just need to,
correct.
Cameroonians just need to stand up, throw out the thugs, the mafia that has taken over the country. Hopefully figure out the men of religion in that country ought to be praying for Cameroon and helping us take away the Satanists who are now in charge. Chase the dark clouds that have overcome this country and hopefully get us back on the path of development. It's as simple as that. I'm hoping that all the nationals, all the people of good, who have a patriotic sense and who want the change that we all desire, will not relent. When I hear that, the momentum is slowing, no, it should not. It should never slow, because the demand for change will always be there. As a matter of fact, it should be growing. You know why? Because that country is bankrupt. So all the promises made over the last few weeks in the lead up to the elections, none of it, none. And I challenge any Cameroonian to come and prove the contrary. None of it will take, one rock will be taken off a road to build it. Water will not come to Yaoundé. There'll be the same disaster with electricity. Nothing is going to happen because the country is broke. They're now talking about going to the IMF. Chris, all of your people should stand up and say no to any IMF loans to Cameroon. You know why? Because it is the oil from our shores, of our shores, that will be used to pay those loans. It is our children who will repay those loans. So it is in our interest to ensure that not the IMF, not the capital markets. They went to the capital markets, raised money, hundreds of millions of dollars for the campaigns, for the election. And a campaign they did not need because they had decided prior to the campaign who will win. So they didn't even need the money. They didn't even need to go to China and spend the billions they spent to buy gadgets. You would even think that if there were serious thinking people, they would produce some gadgets locally.
Yeah.
Burkina Faso is doing it. Kenya is doing it. Botswana is doing it. And you say Cameroon cannot do it? No, they go to China and spend the billions. And you know why they go to China? Because of the $11 billion, 11 billion francs that were spent, billion francs, not million. Of the 11 billion, maybe 5 billion stayed in the pockets of the Mr. Ayolo, who was in charge of that money. And before agreeing to ensure that Ayolo had that money, Gongo would have taken his share. What these people want to do with money, it's incomprehensible to me. I don't know. I've seen the houses, pictures of the. You should show some of these properties they have at Taganji, Ngongo,
Yeah.
Ayolo, and so on. You should show the properties they've built in Cameroon. And this has nothing to do with what they have in Europe. And you'd ask yourself, what is it about these houses? Ngongo, I'm told, has 70. I haven't verified this information, but I'm told he has 70 of the best cars in the world in one of his properties. 70. So he beats Jay Leno in the United
Yeah.
States. Jay Leno, who is a known car
Collector.
connoisseur and collector. But in Cameroon, you have somebody who beats him because of the quality of cars he has. No, there's something significantly wrong with these incompetent. The only thing they know for sure, it seems to me, is thuggery, is stealing from the public purse. Nothing else.
Let me get to Prof. Ayangwe for one question before we open the phone lines for the audience to contribute. Prof. Ayangwe, I'm sure you have heard of this divide among Ambazonians as to whether Ambazonians should be supporting Issa Chiroma to win and negotiate with, or Ambazonians should just stay away and let them do their thing. What is your opinion here, Prof?
No, I think I think they are mistaken. We are not saying that supporting Mr. Chiruma means that we have renounced the Ambazonian project and accepted to become the slaves of French Cameroon. That's not what we are saying. I think our approach sometimes should sit down and think strategic. We are simply saying and encouraging Chiruma to get to power
Prof, if you
in
can,
that country,
Prof,
because we feel, unlike
Prof,
the other people before, we
Prof,
can do business with him. That's all we're saying.
Prof, your camera is cutting your face. If you can adjust it a bit, please.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yes.
Now, I was saying that I think our people should think strategic. We are not saying that by supporting Chiruma, we become the slaves of French Cameroon, or that Ambazonians have become part of the territory of French Cameroon. All we are saying is that, given what Chiruma has said, what he appears to stand for, we think he is somebody we can do business with, unlike the other group of bandits who are in Yaoundé. And that's the only reason. So you can't take the kind of attitude that, oh no, we can't talk to anybody from that side. So what? What other option do you have? And I think they've not understood the whole context of this whole thing and the strategic position that is involved in actually supporting Chiruma. I hear people say, oh, he was part of the regime. He was this thing. Yes. But Paul was part of those who were prosecuting Jesus, isn't it? He had the road to Damascus Conversion and became the forerunner of Christianity and doing many things. So why wouldn't you think that Chiruma has also had the road to Damascus Conversion, and that in view of that conversion, we can do business with him? And he is clearly indicated by dropping certain hints. One of the first things we're going to do is to release all our prisoners that have been jailed, some for already 11 years, 10 years, 8 years. So I think for me that's an indication of good faith, which we have not found in the BR regime for the past 43 years. We haven't found that. That's all we're saying. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Maybe Eric want to chip in something here before we move to the phone calls.
Yes, I mean, Chiroma not only went to, not only spoke to Ayutabe and the rest of Terence and the rest of them, he actually got his daughter to engage with them, because it has become a family affair. So this is not some wishful thinking on our part or an expressed hope that the man will grow and change or learn and change. No, I think it is an ingrained recognition of the harm that has been done to our people and a genuine willingness to engage in a process that will bring this to a happy resolution for everybody. And I totally agree with Prof. Engage. Why continue to stick with a regime that has demonstrated, that it will not, under any circumstances, engage in a discussion with us, and not give someone a chance who promises a different approach. So I totally endorse what Prof said. I'm close to Chiroma enough to know what he stands for, and I totally I believe that the change that we're all looking for. This is a guy who's conscious of the fact that he doesn't have a lot of time left. He doesn't plan to be to attain the age of 93 in government. No, I think Chiroma wants really. He was asking me the other day, he says, why did God give this to me? Why did he put this burden on me? So he sees this as a burden that he has to carry. And he's determined to carry it because he thinks, and he used the word, this is my purpose. I've heard him use that word over and over. This is my purpose. So I think we will, if that country is lucky enough to see Chiroma through to office, and we all hold him to his word, would have a better Cameroon, would have a better nation, would have happier people, and the promise of a better life. So I think, that's my take on this, Chris. And let me say this before I go. If we allow these people, with all the shenanigans that they're engaging right now, think about this. If we let them survive, and somehow they manage to complete a mandate, you know what they'll do over the next 7 years? They will perfect the system in staying in office. That's all they will do.
Absolutely.
And then in 7 years, they'll stay in office. And then we'll have Chantal Bia and Natalie Mudiki run the oil wealth of the country. These are two women running the oil wealth, and the son of Chantal. Three of them running the oil wealth. We will then we'll continue to see Yaoundé sink under the weight of garbage and Douala. We will continue to see Famendongo rot the university system to the ground. Maybe take it with him to the grave when he does. So I don't know why these things are not obvious to the folks. Well, I think what we're seeing is a lot of Cameroonians have thrown up their hands in not both disgust and the inability. They feel totally incapable of resisting these negative, dark forces that have overcome the lives of everyone. But I think those of us in the diaspora have to be smarter, and we have to step in. We have to engage with all these institutions that, for example, I mentioned the IMF. Let no money go to Cameroon. Let's engage with our parliamentarians in South Africa, where Prof is, in America, where you are, in England, where I've taken, where I'm based for a few more months. Reach out to those communities and let this big lie be exposed to the world. All of us have to play a role. All of us. It cannot be Chiroma alone. It cannot be the team around Chiroma. It is every one of us. And do it because we have a direct stake. We have a direct interest in the outcomes. Whether you are in Kambe, in Mamfe, or you are in Ngolemeduka or in Maroa, we all have a stake in it. And I think we should play our parts individually.
All right, Eric, Prof. Ayangwe, I don't know if you still have any more time. We are going to open the phone line to let our listeners weigh in. They may be directing some of the questions to you. If you are still there, please stay put, and we will go straight to the phone lines. Please remember, before you call, shut down the volume of your television set, focus on your phone, If I pick your call and
May,
hear myself in the background, I
may
can't
I
pick
just
your
say one
call.
little thing, Chris, before yeah, one little thing.
Okay.
Because often I have listened to you, you've talked about our people who are in the military in that country. And they should know and they should realize that right now, as it is, they take on now the appearance of mercenaries available for hire either by the bull, a Kang tribal entity that aspires to establish a Fang republic. So either they will become mercenaries for them because there is nothing else they are. They will be just mercenaries for them, they paid mercenaries. Or at some point, some of them who want will become the entity which the Fang Republic will force the Northerners to do by establishing a Logon Republic. So this must be aware of that.
Yeah.
They will become simply mercenaries as this scenario unfolds. I just want to make that point so that they should know.
All
And
right.
to reinforce
Wonderful.
that, Prof, to reinforce that, there's a group in the north today that made it clear that they don't want anybody from Yaoundé to come into their territory. People some
Mhm.
young men in Yaoundé, they're organizing and they're willing to stop people from Yaoundé coming to what they call their territory. So this fight has begun.
That
The
is it.
disintegration of that country is beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I actually saw something on the social media talking about recruiting fighters to launch what I believe is the disintegration of Cameroon that the Canadians have talked of in their memo. Thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Okay, the last caller from Ground Zero. Hello, sir. Hello. Okay, I guess that caller is not picking. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Good evening, Comrade Chris.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Mezam.
Okay, and you got 30 seconds. What is on your mind?
Yeah, Comrade Chris, I just want to say that in every beginning there's an end, and this is the end of this our struggle. So I would like to say that we should support Issa Chiruma because this is the time that has come.
All right. All right. Thank you for the call, sir.
And since our brother Chingy is always around him, he should tell him he should not even listen to the La Republic fools.
All right. Thank you for the call. All right. We will leave it there. We will leave the calls there, ladies and gentlemen. Eric, lots and lots of questions have been posed to you, sir. Take a minute and try to see you can do some justice to the questions, please.
Thank you very much, Chris, and I'm grateful to all the viewers who've put out these questions. The first question, of course, was will Issa Chiroma get to the presidency? If we didn't believe it, we'll not be here doing what we're doing. He will get to the presidency in good time, and I think it'll be a matter of it may be a matter of months, but he'll get there. I wish I could say weeks, but it's not going to be that. They said there's enough that's building up, and it might take a few months, maybe 3 to 6. So he will get there, and I know that for sure. If we want to get into the details of it, maybe in the next one we can outline a few of the steps that are being considered. But I can tell you right away that there is the diplomatic efforts taking place. There are economic efforts taking place. The strategy includes a pillar on the diaspora, the work of the diaspora, and we're really engaging with diaspora folks. I mentioned it earlier. You should go out and talk to your senators and to these international institutions that continue to provide support to that government. There's a lot all of us can do wherever we are, and I think we should do it. All the pressure will build, and this is a country that is totally bankrupt now, and it takes for very little to have it crumble. Someone wanted to know about my support for Ambazonia, and I really want to address that. I want to tell you that when this crisis started in 2016, I saw the direction in which it was going. I complained about it. I wrote a strategy, and I invite any of you who knows my colleague and friend at the time, Larry Ayon, who ridiculed that strategy. And yet today, if you go back to it, you'll see that that's what we should have implemented then. But anyway, that is just to tell you that I am not I'm not indifferent to the suffering of our people. I'm not totally, and I will never agree to it. To continue to the state of I cannot even go home to my village. You think I'm happy about that? I built a house which is crumbled. Maybe I'm told it's being used as a church. You think I don't? I won't want to have. I'm a retired old man now. I would have loved to be in my village and in my house I built. So no, never supported the Ambazonian cause. Totally wrong about that. Will Chiroma bark without biting? It comes to the same. Well, I'm telling you, we're determined to go the full run. We'll take this thing to an end. And if it's with regard to the 48-hour ultimatum, well, they've reacted to it, so there's no reason not to take that reaction into account. But Mr. Chiroma is totally unhappy with it, and he's going to be saying that in the coming days. But the whole point
is he about making a major speech one of these days?
When we get to that point, he will. He's not there yet. There's a lot that is going on. And, the support he's getting from the heads of state across Africa and increasingly in some parts of the world it's all linked to it, So until yesterday, he could not even talk. He finally spoke on Sunday night, I think it was. Yeah, last night. But prior to that, he couldn't for a whole variety of reasons, But I can tell you, he lives this every day. He's trying to figure out how to move to the next level. As I said during this program, initially he was a politician hoping to find, through politics, find a way out. He's finally understood that he's the leader of a revolution. He's the leader of a resistance movement, and he's putting on those clothes now and developing the right policies for that. So yes, will he bark without biting? Or I guess that's what the speaker from Atlanta said. No, he will bark and he will bite, and you'll see that. From Finland, he said is Chiroma working with a Tanganji on given the prisoner release. Nothing could be more ridiculous. So I'm not even going to. But let me tell you, no. The answer is no. Out of respect for the brother who questioned, who put the question. And what happens after the 48-hour ultimatum? And let me say this: what will happen if nothing happens? Should we continue to have faith? No. Look, the 48-hour ultimatum is part of the resistance. That resistance is to the opposition to change. If change is going to happen, we all are going to have to demand it, which is why Mr. Chiroma, when he said, if they don't release the people, go stand in front of those prisons and demand the release. They're not going to shoot 1 million Cameroonians if they go out demanding the release of a handful of their brothers and sisters. So this is not Chiroma's change alone. It's a change for all of us. And there's only so much he can do from where he sits or stands. He's working to ensure that he would lead a movement that will bring about this change. And there's a lot of work going on. I wish we had even the time, to delve into that. We wouldn't for now. But believe me, he will. If nothing happens, well, something is already happening. So what do you say to that? No, this is just the beginning, and we should not stop with the release of 50 or 60 people. We should keep putting the pressure, and we will, until everybody, including the political prisoners that we all know, the Nera 10 and others, These young men, I talk to them all the time. Felix Ngalim, Macho Bivixi, Terence, and the rest of them. Who also, all of them are released. And this is why Chiroma wants to get there, so that we can resolve these things and move on with the life of the nation, with our lives. This is not some, we're not here to hoodwink people into electing somebody. No, this is for real. Mr. B, I would have been, if I wanted the comfort of life, I would have been a member of the Biya government. John Gute is still alive, and he can tell you that, how they tried to get me into that. But because I didn't see value in the work I wanted to do, I turned it down. So we are not here seeking power for power's sake. We're not. Mr. Chiroma, as I said earlier, told me last night, I finally found my purpose in life. And that purpose is to bring hope to Cameroon again, bring hope to citizens in our part of the world. Anyway, and I like, our friend in Texas who says whatever happens in the La République du Cameroon will affect all of us, and that too is true. That too is true. So let's hold on to that hope. Let's fight together. Let's stand together. There's something in it for every one of us. And let us say no to, I talked about the need to tell the IMF not to give a loan, not to give more loans to Cameroon, because it is our children that will pay for those loans. So let's do what we can. All of us, any one of us, can ensure that this does not happen. Very quickly, there are three more. You brought fear to the regime, and I'll tell Issa Chiroma this, and I thank you for that. The need for Cameroonians to take the fight to the embassies, I could not agree more. Let's do that, and let's do more of it. ITB, what are ITB? I call him ITB, but what are Issa Chiroma's plans for the corrupt politicians? No, one of the early things he will do is to bring in. We will do a full audit. So we'll bring in internationally recognized auditing agencies to audit the accounts of the Republic. It's not about chasing people or arresting and imprisoning people. Everything will be done by the book. There will be a full audit. So those who've been siphoning the resources of the Republic, those who've taken out, those who have stolen assets in countries around the world. We know, for example, how much of Cameroon's money is in the Cayman Islands. If any of you has a chance to find out, go find out. That information is available. Billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars are in the Cayman Islands from all of those thugs in Cameroon. It's all of this that will be found through a good audit, and everybody, those who have to be brought to book, will be brought to book. It's as simple as that. And the last question is, this is the end of our struggle. Tell Chiroma not to listen to the LRC, the La République. Yes, sir, I will do the honors. Absolutely.
All right. Before you go, there are about 2,000 people watching this live on both YouTube and Facebook. That speaks to the anxieties out there, everything Chiroma. Can you look straight to your camera and tell these people, tell these Cameroonians now, that is excluding those who are watching by way of television. Can you look through that camera and assure them Issa Chiroma is not letting you down, who voted, who gave him the mandate?
Chris, I'm not a politician. I supported Issa Chiroma because I got to know the man way back then. I introduced Chiroma to John back in 2003 and to Adamu Damdrea back in 2003. And I got the two men to begin to work together on an opposition candidate for the 2004 election. It is from then that I started studying the man, and I got to know him over the years very well in every capacity he's been in. And I trust him.
All right.
I want to tell you, is to look at the camera. Chiroma will deliver on his promise. I will be there to make sure that God should give me the, keep me alive for this. I will be there, I hope, to make sure he delivers on his promise.
All right. If he doesn't remember, if he doesn't deliver, remember, I will get back to you. I will hold
Sure,
you
sir.
accountable. Let me
Absolutely.
go to Prof and
Absolutely.
I'll have
Yeah,
Prof.
Prof is here. Prof is my witness, and I have all the
Prof is
respect
your
in the world for
witness
Professor
already.
Carlton Anyangwe,
Okay, Prof, please give us your last take for tonight. I know I've been holding you for a long time, being that you are in South Africa.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I had just one question, and that question was the way forward for Ambazonia. The answer is simple in my mind. We must continue the resistance to French Cameroon colonization. And we must right now seize the moment to reclaim our land. And this is a task in which we all must get involved, not just a few. There are a lot of people who are just lay back, and they sit back and expect one or two to do things. I think we must all get involved. I've expressed my views on these matters in some other forum, how we must go around this at the moment. So we must seize the moment. And we have here a good example of what happened in Eritrea, when he was fighting for his independence. Eritrea fought for 30 years for its independence. And towards the end, when the Mengistu government in Addis Ababa, there was real infighting there with the abates and so on, and mutual killings and all of that. Eritrea seized that moment of that internal fighting to get full control of Eritrea, and then told the Addis Ababa-based government, okay, fine.
Same thing with Somaliland.
Now you must have a referendum, and of course it was a foregone conclusion because 99% voted that Eritrea must assert its independence and sovereignty, and that was it. So we must begin to think. That's why I keep on inviting our people. We must think strategic. We must think how these things, as it has been said, what is happening in our neighbor there affects us.
Your head is cut
How
off
does it
again.
affect us? How do we take advantage of it? And so on. These are things we must keep on thinking about and seriously, and don't think that some other person will think and come and impose some solution on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Eric. It was a great pleasure having both of you on this set. I'm looking forward to hearing from you tomorrow, Eric, with whatever updates you may have, sir.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for giving me the
Thank
honor
you.
of being in the presence of Professor Anyangwe.
It's an honor to be in the presence of Eric. You keep very good political company there.